Hello everybody, Michael, the Librarian of Magic here, finding and cataloging the magical and pointing you to it. Today is a special video. It's a review, recap, whatever you want to call it, of the new original Disney Plus film Stargirl, which released to Disney Plus on Friday, March 13th, 2020. And I thought I would come on and give my thoughts about the film and sort of a general idea of what it's about. There will be some spoilers in this video. I'm sort of doing this a little extemporaneously, so I don't know how many there will be or how heavy they will be, but pretty much all of my videos have spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled at all, this will have them. I'll try to, let you know as I go along. Anyway, this movie, Stargirl, is it's not a comic book movie of any sort, if you were wondering about that. It's based on a novel by a writer called Jerry Spinelli, who is known for writing sort of teen-oriented, coming-of-age sort of stuff. I have not read Stargirl, but I am familiar with Jerry Spinelli's work. When I was younger, I read his book, Maniac McGee, which I liked quite a bit. And have enjoyed his writing in the past, but I haven't particularly read Stargirl, which this film is based on. Basically, the movie is a very sweet and in some points bittersweet book, or story, I should say, film, about a young boy named Leo, who for the bulk of the movie is played by an actor called Graham Vercher, who, at the beginning of the story, his dad passes away, and he and his mom move. His mom moves to them to Arizona, this fictional town called Mica, Arizona, which is like in the Tucson region, to get a fresh start. She's got a job offer there and stuff like that. So they go, and as this kid, Leo, is getting adjusted to his new surroundings, and he's still coping with his dad's death. His dad used to wear this porcupine tie. It was like a knit tie with a porcupine on it. And he started wearing it every day since his father's funeral to sort of cope with the grief. And at one point at his new school, he gets harassed by these bullies who pick on him for wearing the tie, and they cut his tie in half and beat him up and leave him on the ground. And he decides to stop wearing it, basically, and he's trying to fit in. And then as there's like a montage, and as the years go by, he starts getting, every time his birthday rolls around, they get a tie on the doorstep, and he starts getting all these different ties that he makes like an individual tie collection of, and that raises his spirits every time his birthday rolls around. And then you cut to him being in high school after all of that sort of beginning prologue stuff. And he's older now and, more adjusted. It's been 4 or 5 years since, they moved. And as he's at school, he starts to notice and fall for this girl named Stargirl, who he never really noticed that much before. She comes over on his birthday. She plays the ukulele, and she comes over. She carries it everywhere with her where she goes, and she comes over in the cafeteria on his birthday and sings him happy birthday. And he takes notice to that and starts wondering about this girl. And in pretty short order, they fall for each other. He starts to fall in love with her, and Stargirl, is played by a person called Grace Vanderwall, who is mostly known for having won America's Got Talent when she was like 12 years old for singing and playing the ukulele. And she's recorded a few albums since then, and this is her debut performance. She was obviously chosen for this role because there's a lot of singing and ukulele playing involved, and that's kind of right in her wheelhouse. But she does do some very capable acting here as well. I was very impressed, actually. There are some... she has to do most of the heavy lifting, to be quite honest. She kind of carries the movie, and she does a really admirable job of it. So my hat's off to her. I think she did a great job in this movie, and makes it genuinely heartfelt and interesting and entertaining. And then she's also a great singer and player, and there's a lot of music featured in this. She plays a lot of covers and classic tunes and things like that throughout the movie. So that's really great. Anyway, they fall in love with each other in pretty short order, and he's drawn to her individuality, her free spirit, her quirkiness. She's very unusual. Obviously, her name is Stargirl, or at least she calls herself Stargirl, and um, she plays her ukulele at one point during a football game. They have a terrible football team. They have a terrible marching band. They have no like school spirit or anything like that. And she decides to play her ukulele during halftime during one of the games, and it really peps everybody up and boosts everybody up. And she kind of becomes their good luck charm. All of a sudden, they have a great band, and their team starts performing well, and everybody gets it together, and they all kind of rally behind her. And things are going great. Leo and Stargirl are doing well with each other and everything. And then during the championship football game, the quarterback of the opposing team gets hurt, and nobody is responding to him immediately. And Stargirl runs out to him to see if he's okay, and she hops in the ambulance with him to make sure that, to hold his hand while he's headed to the hospital. And she has a lot of concern for him. And then the team loses, and everybody feels like Stargirl let them down because she went and helped the opposing quarterback and everything, and she starts to get ostracized in school. And everybody thinks that she's weird for doing that, and they don't understand. And Leo is having trouble understanding as well. He's hoping that she'll fall in line more and just act more normal and stuff like that. And she basically comes back to school and starts going by her real name, which is Susan, and she's lost all of her individuality and quirkiness and everything. And basically, she and Leo start to struggle. Like, she goes to this, she wins this speech competition that sends her to a regional speech contest, and she goes as Susan, as herself, or whatever you want to say. And she's about to give this boring speech that she's changed to about internet, the government regulating the internet, and instead she decides at the last minute to ad-lib a speech as herself, which is her true self, which is Stargirl, and she wins the speech competition. And when they get back to the school, her trophy is the first trophy that's ever been added to their school's trophy case, and it has her name, Susan, on it. And Leo was hoping that everybody would be really thrilled that she won this trophy, and nobody really cares. Everybody's kind of ignoring her. And she tries to explain to Leo that, when I won that trophy, I won it as Stargirl, which is my true self, and not as Susan. And she's struggling with losing her individuality and not knowing where she fits in. She's trying to make everybody happy instead of trying to be herself. And Leo is struggling to understand that, and that's kind of the thrust of what this movie is about. It's about, do we lose ourselves to try to fit in, and is that worth it? And isn't it better to be, your individual self if that's who you truly are, and it gives you, zest for life and all of that stuff. And it's really the process of Leo sort of learning all of those lessons that Stargirl is teaching him, and they kind of hit the rocks, and they sort of break up. And there's a scene towards the end where they go to a dance, and Stargirl's there and pushes Leo out of his shell to get him to go up on stage and sing a song. And there's, details about that built into the movie, which make it a nice, heartfelt moment. He sings a song by the Cars that, he and his dad used to sing. There's all this stuff built in. You'll know when you watch the movie. But it's a really sweet scene that she encourages him to, be himself and get out of his shell and stuff like that. And then after this big triumphant moment, and after this, everything kind of gets a little bit better. This is like towards the end where there's, this is a bit more spoiler country. I mean, I've been recapping the movie basically. I've left out a lot of details, but this is kind of the end spoiler bit. Stargirl moves away. And Leo never really finds out why. He never really finds out where she went to. And basically she becomes the stuff of legend in their school. Leo, in this voiceover, starts to admit that he wonders if she ever really existed because she was so unique and so strange that he wonders if she was even a real person at all, and if she was just there to, um, that she was an alien from somewhere or something. Like all these legends persist about her now that she's gone. But the next time his birthday rolls around, a tie shows up on his doorstep, and the implication is that she was sending him ties the whole time. She was the one that was sending them, and she keeps doing that because she cares about him from afar, and all these other people that she's been trying to help. He finds this office that she kept that is full of all of these things where she's been trying to help people throughout the whole time that she's been around. So he finds out how special she truly was and what an impact that made on his life, and how he learned more about being an individual before he went off to college and stuff like that. And it's this sort of bittersweet, like they have this great romance, but they don't, end up together, quote unquote. But she has this tremendous positive impact on his life, and that's kind of the bittersweetness of it. And that's sort of where it ends. Really, he goes off to college, and it's just he's sort of happy that he got to know her, and it really is a sweet movie. It's a sweet story. It's played really well. Like I said before, Grace Vanderwaal does a great job. Graham Vercher is a very capable young actor as well. The lead, the guy that plays Leo. It's kind of he does a fine job. The role is kind of a your average teen coming of age young boy role that many people could be capable of doing, but he does a fine job with it. Most of the other supporting actors are pretty limited in this. The two leads, Leo and Stargirl, kind of carry the whole thing, and they do fine. There are several adults in the movie that have very, very small supporting roles, like the kids, Leo's mom. There's an interesting supporting role by Giancarlo Esposito, who you may more recently remember from The Mandalorian. He played Moff Gideon, who shows up at the end of that show, and he was also Gus Fring on Breaking Bad, if you are familiar with that show. He's in this, and it was interesting to see him have a turn where he's not a villain, because that's what he's been doing a lot recently. He's a mentor for Leo, and unbeknownst to Leo, a little bit for Stargirl as well. He's a paleontologist that's in the area, or geologist who just hangs out and digs up stuff, and he's sort of just a quirky guy that hangs out with Leo and mentors to him. It's not really explicitly mentioned in the movie. They don't make it really obvious, but if you are paying attention, you get the gist that Leo is very interested in dinosaurs and paleontology and stuff, and that's why this guy is his mentor. His name is Archie, the Giancarlo Esposito character, and you get the impression that he's his mentor and that Leo is interested in all that kind of stuff. So that's an interesting little role. He doesn't show up a lot, but when he does, he has some really great scenes, and they actually give Esposito some really good dialogue, and he does very well with that, and has a really quirky paleontologist windswept desert look to him. And there's a bunch of supporting friends and cast and things like that, and they all do a fine job. There's some funny moments with the marching band, and everybody in the movie does a fine job. This is one of the better Disney Plus original movies to come out so far, in my opinion. I think Togo is still the cream of the crop, but I think this probably comes in next, in my opinion. I think there have been 4 or 5 movies now: Noelle, Togo, Lady and the Tramp, Timmy Failure, Mistakes Were Made, and Stargirl. So I guess that's 5. And I think that Togo is still the best of the bunch. But I think Stargirl comes in next, in my opinion. It was really sweet, and it was a nice diversion. Maybe it's, the time that they chose to release it, and, with everything that's going on in the world right now. This was a really nice, sweet movie to watch. It was a nice, feel-good, bittersweet picture, and I really enjoyed watching it. I thought that it was sort of not a typical story. I thought that it was unique in terms of trying to tell a more bittersweet, they don't always end up together in the end kind of story, and one that's more about teenagers trying to just be who they are and be individuals, and it's about nonconformity and all of those kind of things. And it's a really good story. So that was Stargirl. I really enjoyed it. I think it was one of the better offerings in terms of original movies that Disney Plus has put out so far. So if that sounds interesting to you, check it out. If you are a fan of the book, from everything I can gather, it's a pretty decent adaptation. So, like I said, I haven't read it, but I've read a few reviews here and there of people who have said that it's a decent adaptation. It's not direct, a completely direct adaptation, but it does a good job of conveying the novel. So I think you may be happy with it. I was, and even if you aren't a fan of the book, I think you may enjoy this movie if you like watching sort of teen romance or coming of age stories. But it's not real corny. It's very heartfelt and very very well written and well made. So that's Stargirl. And thanks for watching this. I hope it was informative and entertaining. I hope that it was a nice little bright spot in the middle of your day or your week, and gave you a little idea of whether or not you want to watch this movie. Because, like me, you probably have some time on your hands right now, and you may be using some of that time to do things like watch Disney Plus. So I hope this was informative and helped guide whether or not you want to watch this or stuff like that. So thanks as always for watching these, for giving me a thumbs up or subscribing and all that good stuff. And yep, I will. Please stay tuned to my channel for other videos. And there will be a What's New on Disney Plus coming out each week, and a Clone Wars video coming out each week until that series is wrapped up. So look for those if those are things you're interested in. And thanks for watching this special review recap of Stargirl. I'll see you in one of my other videos. Bye-bye.